Play Your Inside Right with your host, Bruce Forsyth.
Hello and welcome. Inns to see you. Yes! Oh. Hello and welcome to Play Your Inside Right. The wife's too young and the jokes are shite. Here's a header. And here's a volley. It's time to meet my dishy dolly!
Is this the... Yes!
That's
your dishy dolly!
Right. So, no, don't go away. Well, give us a bit of a twirl, because you look absolutely fantastic. Oh, God, I could just, and let's face it, I usually do. So, OK, then, Robbie Earl, Steve Bold, Dave Besant, can we have our first contestant? Welcome. Please, do go behind the podium. Thank you very much, Mr. Dolly.
Hello, Brucey.
Hello, and you are?
Jimmy Hill.
Oh, Jimmy Hill. Jimmy Hill sounds like a piece of high ground where people go for a piss.
What a good remark.
Yes, now, you wouldn't think that this would come off when the hair stay on, would you? But still.
You wouldn't think you were Leonard Rossiter, either.
No, my God, no. So, what do you do, Jimmy? Yeah, well, never mind. Never mind. Now, we have actually asked. Now, this is a very tough question, but brace yourself. Thank you, Jim. We both have the same. We asked 100 Alan Hansons which of his fellow TV pundits would he most like to punch in the face, right?
Well, obviously, it's me.
Yeah.
But you could have only asked one Alan Hansen.
No, we only asked one Alan Hansen, but he said he would like to punch you 100 times.
What a good remark.
Oh, OK, let's play Your Inside Right. All right, then, so here's your first card. Now, let's hope it's a good one for you.
Oh.
And it's a nice one. Now, will the next team be higher or lower?
Oh, well, obviously, for many seasons, I was saying to Eric Cantona that if he was going to leave Leeds United, then they probably...
Look, is it higher or is it lower?
Well, really, lower.
No, that's right. You choose your... You choose, so here we go, and here we are, and...
Yeah!
It is lower. It is lower. Higher than Tottenham Hotspur. That is so unlucky.
Terribly.
But you do get another chance. What you need now is something really high, right? Really high.
Yeah!
Ryan Gonzalez. Well, that's very... Isn't that high? That's very high indeed, and I can talk.
I think it'll definitely be higher.
Higher than Brian. What do you think? Is it higher or? Higher than Brian Gonzalez. Well, let's say higher than Brian. Well done, so it's this one. For the car,
I predicted many seasons ago that it would be high. And I think now, lower. Definitely.
Oh, that's very bad luck because you get nothing from McClare.
Good night.
And now it's time for my news round. Then there were fives. This week we're concentrating on the contenders as the race for the BBC Two Fantasy Football League Championship really hots up. Basil Brush is back at the top. Members of Basil's growing brown and white fur army delighted in this goal by Robert Lee. And an assist from team mascot Rule Fox that gives Basil a vital 6-point cushion. David's top scorer this week was Andy Cole. His other scorer was new signing Hans Sagers with a clean sheet against United. Karen's third, a rare goal from Southampton pin-up boy Ian Dowie, helping her to 13 useful points. Sue Johnson makes it 2 women and a fox in the top 4. With Rod Wallace's superb solo effort, she's right back in it. Motty completes the top 5 challengers, although after most of his defence lost points last week, he'll need a minor miracle if he's to win it from here.
Once again, it was us!
Yes, anyway, hello and welcome to Fantasy Football League. This week, our guest managers are Mandy Smith and John Motson.
We'll be recreating Tommy Gemmel's greatest moment.
And we'll be saying a big hello to Duncan McKenzie.
Hello, I'm Duncan McKenzie.
Hello! But first, a few things we noticed from watching football this week. With the World Cup coming up, Italian strikers have spent the week brushing up on their technique in the penalty area.
And still in Italy, we learnt this week that the phrase un bel sogno gras is Italian for has never had sexual intercourse.
Can they really build it?
They thought about it, but they got there, and that's good.
Eventually. Back here, ticket touts have complained that new government legislation against them means that they now can't afford even the most basic requirements for a comfortable life.
I guess that was a Tottenham game, probably. And following the strange mystery of the corn circles, psychic researchers claim that they have discovered evidence to suggest that a giant horse is living in the Southampton area.
Anyway, where's the guest manager?
I don't know, actually. Let's see what's on the telly, shall
All
we?
right.
I'm in charge, and to put it blunt, I really am an absolute...
Oh! I wanted to hear that, because he's not a runt at all, is he? No, he's quite tall. Who is it? Oh, it's Mandy Smith and John Motson! John Motson and Mandy Smith, John Motson. Let's get your coat, man.
Good to see you both. Are you both well?
Yeah.
Oh, marvellous.
Yes. Mandy was just saying before we came in that if we could just do this whole thing again, we'd have done it very differently, didn't you?
Definitely.
What? Do what all again?
What were you doing on the way here that you wanted to do?
No, we meant picking our teams. If we had a chance to sort of redo the auction again, we know what we'd do this time round.
Right, so you're saying you've been rubbish, and now you regret it. Is there a lot of excitement in the Smith household at the moment? Because Millwall might be going up. So is Pat excited about that? Are you excited?
Definitely, yeah. I went to the game the other night.
Yeah.
That's when they drew 2-2. But last night he went and we had a great time and they were all celebrating.
Well, while we're on the subject, do you think playoffs have been a success as an idea instead of the old 2 up, 2 down system? Do you think they've worked?
Well, I only found out earlier that the first 3 used to go up, but now obviously it's just the first 2.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit unfair for the others, isn't it, you know?
Well, yeah, well, you've got a bit of a... Cause was it Port Vale last year didn't go up, and they had many more points than West Brom? Is that right?
But I thought that was very funny. No, I think the playoffs make it exciting. I got a day out at Wembley, you know, for the playoffs, and now, you know, often you get a day out at Wembley. QPR fan there said, Wembley? But, you know, so I'm all for the playoffs. They give you something to play for at the end of the season. And Port Vale did get slightly more points than us, you know, but on the day, you know, we hammered them. So
I think next season it'll be interesting because only one team goes up automatically next season from the Ensley Division 1 and one more place for the playoffs, because they're bringing the league down from 22 to 20, the Premiership. So 4 will come down and only 1 will automatically go up.
Well, I'm dead against that, personally. I'd like there to be like 4 games a week, every week. Well, it's right now. I mean, you know, the summer comes and the last game ends and you think, oh, this is really boring now, just going to sit around, you know. And grandstand in the summer is the most terrible. Swimming, you know, and all that sort of stuff is on. We'll sit down and watch the swimming, shall we? Get a few lads round, get the beers in, you know. Perhaps scatter some chloride, you know, give a bit of atmosphere.
You mentioned this before on the show, Mandy, but you're married to a footballer and your sister goes out with a footballer and your cousin, Beverly, is married to Paul Walsh. So what I want to know is, do you find footballers particularly sexy in your family, or what?
No, it's what happened. It just came along for each person. No one actually went out.
Well, just a load of footballers just came along. And you all got off with them?
At completely different times.
Right. But do you think that they are...
No, not really.
That generally they're a sort of attractive bunch of people. There is something attractive about footballers.
They are
beautiful.
sex symbols,
No,
aren't they?
well, no, some of them have lovely legs, but there's obviously...
Ian Dowie.
Yeah.
I've seen him turn a few eggs.
Yeah, Michelle
No,
Volk.
but there has been a few nice footballers in our time, but I wouldn't say they were hunks, no.
I think they're becoming the sex symbols of the 90s, really, footballers. I think people on their bedroom walls now tend to have Ryan Giggs rather than, on my day, I had Jim Reeves.
What do you think, John? Do you think...
What, about Mandy's family, or...?
No, no.
Well, yeah, what do you think about Mandy's
I thought the fact that while she tried to model his hairstyle on Mandy's was a bit of a mistake. But he is in my fantasy league squad now, Paul Walsh,
really?
so I'm looking to him to score a few.
Yes.
In the next week or
But
two.
I feel you're avoiding the question, which is, do you find footballers at all sexy?
You didn't say lady footballers, or you weren't specific, were you?
No, I wasn't specific.
Not like you not to be specific.
No, it's not
For
like
God's sake, be specific.
All right. Do you find Ian Dowie sexy or not?
It wasn't something I've thought about a great deal today. But
In a rugged sort of a way.
Here are some of the greatest sex symbols in football at their very sexiest.
Nothing beats a good workout, Henry. Nothing beats a great smell of brew. Oh, yeah, it's flashy on all over, Henry.
I'll just carry on with my treatment here at the health spa and then back to you in the comfort of the studio.
Goodness me. John, I didn't know you were that
stuff,
sexy.
John?
Were there a lot of men standing around you?
Well,
or?
there was Mike Newell was next to me at the time.
Yeah, but surely he didn't make that mess. I can't...
Please. Do you know children watch this show?
Sorry, what was it? Tell us what it really was.
We were doing a feature about Luton Town at the time, and we went to a nearby health farm to... I don't know what we were doing there, actually. I've forgotten what we were doing there. Well, we were just interviewing players in a different sort of environment. And Mike Newell had his head in a kind of a canister.
This wasn't a health farm. I've read about this in the tabloids.
No, it was a kind of, Turkish bath situation.
Right.
And so when the interview got a bit boring, they suggested that I might ask better questions if I got on the slab and got covered in ice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
I love it's a classic football moment, a Turkish bath situation. On the subject of sort of sex appeal and all that, we were talking earlier this week, weren't we, when we sat around chatting, me and Dave and Stato, as we so often do, over a game of Cluedo, maybe. And we were talking about footballers making pop records and that sort of angle. And you were a bit of a pop star, Mandy, weren't you?
Not in this country, though. But
no, well, I just think that some of the audience might not be aware of this, but I mean, not
please
in any
don't
way
show anything
taking the mic. You were actually...
No, I won't do that here, don't worry. You're quite safe. Quite safe.
No, but you had a few mega hits, didn't you?
Over Europe, yeah. Japan, Italy, Spain.
Someone knows one of them?
Yeah.
Just can't
Wait,
wait.
either that or he's talking to you, Mandy.
I think he knows one of the songs.
Right.
Well, actually, we have got a clip, so let's have a look at Mandy strutting her stuff.
Mandy, concentrate. that was what? Helpless victim of pleasure?
Yeah, it was. John was
should
just
say,
asking me
this
when it
bloke's
was.
foot here, what? This
Was
foot?
it tapping? No, it
It was
wasn't.
tapping away. Am I right, mate? You were on the verge. You hadn't broke your arm falling over earlier this week, you'd have been up breakdancing.
So,
God, he was keen.
so was that what was that, a big hit in Portugal or what? I mean, where was that a big hit?
Well, that was one of the hits, but I had an album that was a hit all over Europe, really.
Right.
So I did quite well.
There's been a lot of footballers though who've got into being sort of tried to get into being pop stars, haven't they? Because there was because Spurs did Ozzy's Dream, I remember, which included the line "Ozzy's going to Wembley," which has now become "Ozzy's going to Endsley." I like very much.
Very cool.
There's also one, Blue is the colour, but
Yes.
I can't remember how long ago that was. Must have been the last time Chelsea
Very long
got to the
time.
cup
Do you want to
final.
fight?
There was one called Willie Morgan. You know that? There was
Funny enough, I saw him last week.
It's a funny old world,
He
isn't
was,
it?
he was still singing.
Really?
Here, however, is the best football dance number ever.
Early on, Liverpool was strolling, and they had United rolling. But when United had to convince, they produced a goal from Paul Ince. Liverpool was strolling, and they had United rolling. But when United had to convince, they produced a goal from Paul Ince.
Well, that was fantastic.
Hey,
John.
John!
Quite brilliant.
I wasn't sure what Francis Lee was doing at the end there.
Dancing.
Oh, good.
Anyway, let's get back to the business in hand. Let's have a look at Mandy's team. At the moment, you're third from the bottom
Yeah.
in the league. But as I say, you were bottom for ages, so you have
I
clambered
was.
up a bit.
No, I'm quite pleased, and I've stayed there for the past few weeks, which is good.
Well, exactly. And you've had a couple of defenders who are doing OK at the moment, and you've still got Righty doing up front.
That's it, yeah, not too bad. But I think they were out, Arsenal were out for a few games, and then I didn't do too well. They're really holding me together. It's Wright and Campbell, but
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite
Goodness sake. You've started it. I blame you.
sorry, I'm
you with
sorry.
your bloody Mike Newell remarks.
You've got quite an old team. I'm not that old, but you've got Strachan in it and Goss, and you've got Brian Robson on the bench. I mean, that's not really a problem, I suppose, in fantasy league, but I think older players tend to play a bit more defensively. Another thing about Brian Robson is something people don't know about him is that he used to work on Wish You Were Here, and we've got him here during which time he became known as a bit of an intrepid Marco Polo sort of figure.
It's not one of the places I would pick, China. I mean, so we went to Alicante last year, and to tell the truth, it wasn't great, but it was a place which I enjoyed because I love the sun and I love the beach. Where I've come to China and it's more of a place where you go sightseeing and things like that, and to me it doesn't appeal too much, that sort of thing.
He was good, Arthur. You can keep your Alan Wickers any time you like. I thought he was very good. In case you didn't recognise that, by the way, that was from a fantastic BBC documentary called Albion in the Orient. And it was all about West Brom's visit to China, the first English football team ever to go to China. And if you ever get the chance to see it, it's brilliant. It is
very good.
We've got a clip in. This is a couple of the Albion lads, right, at their most cosmopolitan.
Which places have you visited in Peking?
British Embassy. The food. Chinese food.
And here's John Truick at the Great Wall of China.
No, it's impressive, isn't it? But, I mean, you've seen one wall, you've seen them all.
He's so right, though. Walls, you can take them or leave them.
There's something brilliant, isn't it, about sitting in China saying, Chinese food. You've travelled a bit, man.
You've travelled. When you were modelling, you must have travelled all over the place.
Loads of places.
Do you miss that at all?
Yeah, I do, but you don't really get to see many of the sites when you're travelling.
Right.
You see some sights, but...
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
No, but you don't get too much time to go sightseeing or seeing the Great Wall of China or...
Well, you might as well go to Alicante.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's true they sit in a hotel or you just,
It's true.
get your gear off, sit on a rock and then back. That's rubbish, isn't it?
But you make it even sound more glamorous.
Yeah, I suppose I do.
Well, it is for Frank.
This is actually, while we're on the subject of players abroad, I must just show you this. This is a genuine video package which is on sale on Japan. And if you look very closely in the bottom right corner, you'll see that everything that Benny Hill said about the Japanese was absolutely right.
Gary, I told you he was right. Why you no listen? Speaking of Benny Hill, have you ever noticed that Benny Hill looks exactly like Chris Waddle? Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Nothing like him,
Not
really.
at all.
Well, I mean, you say that.
Oh, yeah.
That was Benny Hill, actually.
I can see it now.
Yeah, see, you laughed.
Yeah.
Stato looks fantastic in that. Did you know that Stato has become a bit of a cult hero?
I'm sure he has.
He has, honestly. We had a letter from someone. They sent in a photograph. They'd actually been to a Stato theme party.
No.
True, and we've got the photo of them at the party, a photo of a few of the party goers. And here we go, look. It's fantastic. Who was in room 16? That's what we want to know.
Was it Mike Newell?
I know where that came from.
Do you know anything about this? This picture being on?
Not tonight,
What
no.
are they like?
Eh? What are they like?
Yeah.
Is it,
What are we like?
No,
did you all go around and talk about statistics all night? And...
No, what that came from.
You did, John. Oh no.
That came from a football tour that I went on with my old Sunday team, a team called Roving Reporters. In fact, there's one or two players here tonight. They're still going. I'm not still going, but they are.
Did you not think of calling it Reporting Rovers at all? Good, it's probably good that you didn't, actually.
No,
it'd
we
be
didn't,
rubbish.
because there was a reason why it was called that, and it wouldn't have been the same that way round. But
Let's have a look at John's team. There they go, and they're doing well. They are doing well still. Do you think you're in the chance of the title, John, still?
well, not from what Stato was saying earlier. No, he wrote me off completely.
How far is John off the top, Stato?
Well, he's 31 points behind. I wouldn't say I wrote you off completely, John. I think you actually got a sporting chance of making Europe at least. It's going to take a big effort from one or two of your players in the closing weeks. But, yeah, it's 5 players, I think, 5 of the teams can win.
Don't you think that more sports journalists would benefit from dressing like that on these? Actually, neither of you should get too depressed about the Fantasy League, because I found out this week that the record score for anyone in a Fantasy League in this country is 61 points in a week.
No.
So both of you, with 3 weeks left, could still do it.
You'd have to go some, but it can be done. That's a good thing about this, I think.
Yeah. Well, now it's time for Phoenix from the Flames. This week, Tommy Gemmel's magnificent half volley.
So, Tommy, we're here to recreate your greatest ever moment. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, there was I, just outside the box.
I remember it well.
And the ball came across on the right-hand side, and I hit a screamer into the top left-hand corner of the Italian goal.
Did you?
Yeah. European Cup final goal against Inter Milan.
We're not doing that one, are we?
No, leave it to me, right. The thing is, Tommy, we're not actually doing that one. We wanted to do this one.
Up to Gemmell. Gemmell, fouled surely. Referee wave. Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh, that was uncalled for.
That European Cup final goal was one of the greatest moments in my career. And the Helmut Haller incident was one of the lowest moments.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot funnier.
Well, that's true.
OK. Tell you what, Frank, you be Helmut Haller, I'll be the German defenders, and you be Tommy Gemmell.
Play Archie McPherson.
Up to Gemmell. Gemmell, fouled surely. Referee wave. Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh, that was uncalled for.
That's unfair, Tommy. Don't think that happened.
Well, actually, I chased Haller, but it was for much longer than what you saw on television.
Yeah, Ja, und ich sage, actually, mein Bein ist gebrochen.
Excuse me, have you seen this man?
Fine.
I actually thought he was number 11. And I'll catch him if it kills me.
Uncalled for.
Then Haller started limping around, holding his back and doing a bit of play acting, making things look a lot worse than what they really were.
Yeah, and then a bloke from the First World War turned up. What's the problem?
Oh, mein Backen ist gone und mein knee, and I think I've had done in meinen ankle.
Well, luckily, I'm from the Red Cross, the most advanced medical organisation in the world.
Oh, what have you got?
A blanket.
Haven't you got any cortisone?
Cortisone? Don't you know there's a war on? I've got some powdered egg.
I thought I was treated very, very badly. After all, Haller had to go at me first, and the whole matter still really upsets me.
Yeah, and just think, Tommy, if Haller hadn't have fouled you, you might have scored, Scotland might have knocked Germany out of the World Cup, and then Germany mightn't have beaten England in the quarter-finals, and so in a way, if it wasn't for you, England might have won the 1970 World Cup.
Well, that just shows you. Every cloud has a silver lining. But I must say I was really depressed at the time. My God, what have I done? I've disgraced myself. We're out of the World Cup. Everybody's going to blame me. What can make me feel better at a time like this?
There you go. Right as rain.
Well, that was uncalled for.
Oh, he's a big lad.
I thought Helmut Haller was play acting until Tommy Gemmell kicked me up in the air. And then I realised how much it... Hey, up, is that the postie? I think it is.
Actually, we got a letter this week, which I'd like to read to you, John, which is from Daniel Kierwan, aged 12. And he says, I would like to make the point that John Motson has fallen in love with Karen Brady. Because Frank Skinner asked him something like, who's your best player? And then John Motson told Karen who his best player was, when it wasn't even her who asked him. then David asked him, why did you choose him? And John Motson told Karen Brady why he chose him, when it wasn't her who asked him. And she wasn't particularly interested. Then it says, please will you tell John Motson to ask Karen Brady to marry him? So are you going to do that, John?
Sorry, Mandy. Well, I don't know what to say. I thought she was almost asleep while I was trying to make that conversation. Do you remember?
That was ecstasy, John. Trust me. I don't mean ecstasy with a capital E. I mean she was happy. I'll read this letter anyway. It says, Dear David and Frank, I've noticed that more and more players are coming onto the pitch with their hair plastered in gels, creams and goodness knows what else. Surely this must have a detrimental effect on their game. That's from Nina Hunt of Glasgow. Well, Mrs Hunt, not always. It's stuck, isn't it? Look, that's stuck.
How does he do that? Static electricity, how does he do it?
It's like a terrible boil.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, Mandy.
It's been a joy, and next week's guests are Richard Littlejohn, and finally we'll discover who's got the unenviable task of trying to save the Golders Greenbacks from relegation. Good night.